What's up? It's Martin here. With the school year coming around the corner and summer feeling like it hasn't even started, which is pretty sad honestly, today I will share with you guys a pretty basic and simple Anki tutorial. For those of you who don't know what Anki is, it's basically a flashcard making app that uses a spaced repetition algorithm that has been studied to show that it improves your memory and recalling certain facts for testing scenarios. That being said, it's an amazing tool for studying, being that it's my go-to study app throughout my first year in university. As with all tools, its effectiveness only comes down to the user. And even though I'm not really an expert on using this app, I'd figure that sharing the basics and what I know currently about the app will help you guys if you're a complete beginner to this. So with that, let's get right into the video. To get your Anki set up, go to this webpage that I'm showing you right here. I'll link that in the description as well, and just download it. Using Anki is free for PC and Android users, but I'm just going to quickly mention that the Anki app for the iPhone is a paid app, but you can still use the web version, which is Anki Web, completely for free. So now that you have that all set up, if you want to access your cards from any device, if you're using this on your phone and your laptop, for example, then you can make an account at ankiweb.net, and I'll link that in the description below. And whenever you create your cards, you can click the sync button, or it will automatically sync for you if you close the app these days. This way, whether you're on the go or sitting at home, you can access your flashcards and review your material as needed. So now that we're in the app, let's talk about organization. And honestly, when I was creating my decks for the first time this year, I was pretty bad at doing this because I didn't even realize that you can make subcategories or subdecks. I was just using tags, and that got kind of messy if I forgot to tag things. So make sure you realize that you can make subdecks, and that'll make things easier to study. Like for example, if you're learning evolution in biology, and then the next topic is genetics. Those would be two pretty distinct topics that you would separate into subdecks, and that would make things a lot easier to review. And if you're wondering why my Anki looks slightly different from yours, that would be because of the add-ons. And I'll show you which add-ons I'm using by going to Tools and clicking Add-ons. And I'll quickly go over why I chose each of these add-ons and how crucial they can be to improving your experience and the effectiveness of the app. Just as a quick side note, I wish I actually discovered these add-ons sooner because I only found these near the end of my summer school season, which was in late June. And if I found these add-ons earlier in the year, I think I could have made better use of this app in general. So let's start with the review heat map, which is what you see on the screen right here. And it's basically like a habit tracker for your studying. As you can see here, I wasn't really consistent on making flashcards in the beginning of the summer school season, and I wasn't completely consistent in my first year in university either. It's a lot harder to stay consistent if you can't really see your progress, and I believe that with this, tracking your progress will be easier, and seeing your progress can be very motivating in inspiring yourself to study even more. So you can have a better percentage of days learned than me, which is honestly kind of sad, 33%. But I have been off of school for quite a while. Hopefully by the end of the year, I can show you guys a full sea of green here. Anyway, moving on to the next add-on, which is Frozen Fields. Basically, the use of this add-on is that every time you create a flashcard and you click Add, both the fields will clear out and you have to input new information into each of the fields that you put into the card. So for example, if you have a picture of a cell, you may want to ask what is the powerhouse of the cell. But if you want to ask a question about another organelle within the cell, then you can freeze this field and keep the image there so you can ask more questions about it. The next add-on is image occlusion, which basically helps you mask parts of a diagram so you can memorize diagrams easier. I find that this especially helps in subjects like anatomy, which I haven't taken yet, but theoretically, I think this would be a really useful tool if you were to take subjects such as that. I already found that this was pretty useful in biology, where diagrams play a big role in certain parts of a test, so don't sleep on this one. The last add-on is the pop-up dictionary, and I feel like this one would be especially useful when using a program like Anki, because unlike other note-taking programs or looking through your notes in general, it's a lot harder to find certain sections of your notes on the fly. For example, if you use something like OneNote or just pen and paper, you can find certain parts of your study notes pretty easily by flipping through, but with flashcards, you're looking at tiny pieces of your notes one at a time, and it's pretty hard to find where certain pieces of information came from. So with the pop-up dictionary, when you highlight certain parts of your flashcard, it will try to find any other instances where this word or keyword showed up in the rest of your deck. And this way it'll be easier to find more information on a certain subject or topic that you're confused on in other contexts besides the one that you're looking at currently. So for example, if you're looking at the mitochondria, a pretty basic understanding would be that it's the powerhouse of the cell, but if you made more flashcards concerning how it generates energy for the cell, then The pop-up dictionary would really help you find those ideas that you haven't previously connected, and looking at it all at once will help you connect the dots. And in this way, it will help you understand your flashcard or the topic in multiple contexts, which is very important in doing well in thinking or analysis questions, which you will be tested on in the future. So let's go on to creating basic cards. Starting with the basic card, this is your classic flashcard. It just goes front and back. So you have the front, which is basically what will show up when you start the flashcard, and the back, which is what the answer will be if you flip it over. And that's pretty basic. The one that I liked using the most this year was the cloze deletion, which basically creates sort of a fill in the blank type of question. And I find this to be particularly useful in memorizing certain facts, which can come into play when you study subjects such as psychology or the like. Here you just click Ctrl-Shift-C after highlighting a certain part of the text, and it will show up as this weird bracket looking thing, which is the part of the sentence or question that will be blanked out when you're reviewing your flashcards. And as a quick side note, the biggest mistake that I've made with making these types of flashcards is making too many fill in the blanks for one card that I could just split it up into multiple cards, as well as making the text way too long that I didn't even want to study it in the first place. So I'll give you a really bad example here and just try to avoid making your flashcards like this, but in the end, it's kind of like trial and error, so make the mistakes if you will, review them, and fix them as you go along. So whatever you see me doing right here, try not to replicate this. So I'm going to Wikipedia, and I'm just grabbing a big piece of information about the mitochondria, and then I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm just going to blank out certain areas or words. Seems great, right? Well, when you review this, just look at it. You don't even want to read it. And I feel like this decreases the amount of time it takes for you to make cards, but in the long run, it increases the amount of time that you need to study, which comes out as a net negative, so don't do this. And as for what decks to review with, I have no experience with using pre-made decks, and I feel like it's a really important skill to make your own cards, and it's also another form of studying. Being able to synthesize and crunch down information into a very compact and useful form can really help your understanding of what is very important to know and what's going to be tested. So I think that making most of your cards by yourself is the way to go. The only useful part of using a pre-made deck, in my opinion, is looking at how other people make their cards and seeing which types or styles of cards would fit your learning style the best. So, for example, if you've been making text-only cards and you've downloaded a pre-made deck and you see nice pictures and diagrams, that might inspire you to include more diagrams in your own cards, which will help you in the long run. So I'm not saying that pre-made decks are all bad, but just use them as inspiration and not as your sole method of study. A better way to make flashcards is to ask specific questions. This is in contrast with the fill-in-the-blank cloze deletion, which I find to be better for memorizing individual facts and not so much for understanding the concept itself. I find that when you use this question and answer method to make your flashcards, it's a lot more specific and it gets you in the mind of a test maker, in which you try to get yourself to understand why certain things are, and not just that they are the way they are because they just are, if you know what I'm trying to say. So instead of filling the blanks for the mitochondria generates blank, you can ask a question about what is the function or importance of the mitochondria. And that way you might have to formulate the answer as if you were a student writing a test. So that's just my biggest mistake and how I would fix it. And I think that's about all you need to know about Anki and how to use it. It's pretty simple at first, but I feel like the more you use it, the more you'll figure out how to best tailor it to suit your needs as a learner. So I hope that this tutorial helps you out and that you got something from it. So that's about it for this tutorial. And basically, it's going to be a game of trial and error to see what works and doesn't work for you. So don't be afraid to experiment and fail, because failing is honestly a part of learning, and we should be less harsh on ourselves for our failures, because that's the best opportunities for us to improve as students and people in general. So yeah. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure to share with a friend and smash that like button and hit that subscribe button with post notifications on to see more content like this as usual. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. Oh, I got stuck on the chair. Oh, and one last thing, I forgot. If you have any suggestions or just any criticisms about this video, just leave that in the comments section down below. I'll be happy to read and respond, as I'm always trying to improve the videos that I make. And that's about it for me. Take care and see ya.